today here in the Floreology studio as we're going to look at some of the tips and techniques that I showed you earlier in the week with leaf manipulation and how to actually use it. Now this is a great black boat container. It held a lot of floral foam, and what I wanted to do was a quick way to cover that up. So I just took some aspidistra leaf and inserted it on either end, and then took my great piece of wood here and placed on top. Now I could have added a couple of more secure places, but this wood I knew wasn't going to go anywhere and would hold those two leaves in place. Now earlier we looked at making aspidistra ribbon by slicing our aspidistra and piercing it in different directions to create this, and we'll show you how to use that in just a minute. We also looked at making these great lily grass roses, and we're also going to use that in this arrangement. Another quick, easy thing that you can do with your aspidistra is simply tie it in a knot. So we're just going to take it and tie it in a knot. Now, if you need to take a piece of U-glue to secure this, say you're doing it for a competition or for certification, please do that. You never want it to come apart in your designs, especially with it being on your table for over 24 hours before somebody's going to look at it. So we have a nice knot, it's tight enough and it's not going to come apart, but again, secure it with a piece of U-glue or cold glue to ensure that it doesn't go anywhere. Now the thing about cold glue, if you use too much of it, it will burn the leaf and you'll have an ugly brown spot, so be just really careful when you do that. I have some great feathers that I want to use in this design, and one of the things about natural feathers, if you don't know, and I'll show you this, if I want them to curve a certain way, I'm going to take the back of my knife and I'm just going to simply go up the spine, and you can see how quickly that curved and changed direction for me. So if I wanted to do something with them and have them curved, I could take it and do that as well. But these I think I want to leave straight for this design and talk a little bit about parallel design. We're going to start with our eucalyptus and we're going to do a little tailoring. In tailoring, we're going to take off some of the laterals to make this a cleaner line, but we'll also remove some of the foliage so that you can see the line nice and clear. I'm going to cut that at an angle, and then I'm just going to take it and I'm going to pull these off. And one of the things you want to make sure when you're doing this is you get it all off and don't leave nubs, so that it's a nice, clean, smooth line. And then we're just going to insert this straight through the aspidistra that I put down first on top of the foam. I'm gonna get another piece here. Take away the laterals so that I have a nice, clean line. And remember, if you do this to one piece, you really need to do it to all pieces so that you have a nice, consistent look. You know, once is an accident, twice or 3 times, and then it starts to become on purpose. And we're going to add that piece in. And you'll notice it does have a slight curve to it, so had I inserted it into the foam this direction, that would lead our eye away, and you can also see this doesn't make nearly as strong of line, so I'm going to turn that back in. Get another piece. Strip off the bottom, take away our laterals to strengthen our line. I want some stem to show. And I'm going to group the eucalyptus together. And if we start our product grouping it, then we kind of need to follow that throughout the whole arrangement. We don't want grouping on one side and then just a potpourri mixture on the other side. So we're going to take and start adding in some of our feathers. See how this one is curving this way? This is a good time to take my knife and straighten that back up. And we want to be very conscious about how many times we insert something and pull it out, especially with this leaf covering, because we want to keep it nice and neat throughout the arrangement. Very clean mechanics. Continue to add this throughout the arrangement. Maybe one more piece over here. Now, I'm not liking how this is going, so I'm going to be honest, I'm going to pull these out and I am going to spread them. And that's okay to do as long as you realize that in the very beginning and you make that adjustment, but you also make it with your eucalyptus. So I'm going to find another piece of eucalyptus, actually a couple of pieces, and I'm going to add another few pieces into the design. That way I have some on both sides of the arrangement. Doing some on the front side of the log as well as on the back side. You know, a lot of times I see designers making an arrangement and it goes together so great, so quick, so wonderfully, and then there's people like me that have to stop, look at it, that didn't work out so well, let's adjust it. And you know, that's okay too. I would rather keep it real, and you all know that I am just like you and have to think about things as I do it. So now I'm going to take a couple of these knots and I'm just going to add them in a couple of little spots to giving us some visual interest. I have two back here, so maybe I'm going to come in under here with that one. Another one right in here. So we're beginning to cover the rest of our oasis that's showing. So now we want to look at making a focal area. We've made these beautiful lily grass rosettes earlier, and we could take these and group these down at the base, and I'm just going to lay these in here where you can see about how that would turn out. And that would make a really nice focal area. Now the thing with competition designing or certification, you don't want too many tricks in your arrangement, so this might be a little much because we've already got so much going on with our eucalyptus and feathers and the aspidistra, and so we're going to pull these back out, and I think what we're going to do is add in some of the white lilies. Now, if you can't get the stem through the aspidistra, you can always take it, cut a hole in there, and then insert into the foam. Makes that a little bit easier for you. You just want to keep the cut nice and neat so that there's no room for somebody to say you have bad mechanics. So we're just going to create a focal area with this stem of lilies. Now I think we need a little something to soften this to help that transition between the roughness of the wood and the container. So I'm going to take our lily grass ribbons that we made earlier, and I'm going to come in underneath, our aspidistra ribbons that we made earlier, and come underneath and maybe do this other one on the back side of the cluster of lilies. And I think that'll be okay because we have the aspidistra at the base, we have the aspidistra knots, and we're just continuing with the aspidistra. Now I think it needs a little something to help finish it off, and I have some scabiosa, and I'm just going to start inserting this thoughtfully into our design. and to create a little depth this way. We have depth going on this way, but we also have depth from side to side. And I want to be sure to bring some pieces in front of the piece of wood that's laying on top and some of the pieces behind, and that will help give a lot of dimension back and forth in there. And put this in at various heights. I want to be very careful about keeping the stems just as straight as I can. If one is really curved, then I might not want to use that one and just look for a straighter piece. If it is curved, I can bring it in and put it in between this two and keeping the curve going the same direction. That will help camouflage it. So we're just adding in our scabiosa in various spots. On the edge of that container where it's very rounded, it's a little harder to get that in there. And you can see by putting it right there, it's pushed it out of line in our arrangement. So I'm just going to cut this off a little bit shorter so that that helps take care of that, brings it back in. So we're going to check our arrangement, we're going to check the placement of our product in it. I'll turn the arrangement around. You can see that it needs a little something on the back side. So I have one more piece of the aspidistra ribbon. I'm going to add that in, helping to finish that back side off. You can see, turning it sideways, we have nice depth going this way. One of the tricks that I tell people is always get it out of your comfort zone. Maybe the next thing you want to do is take it and sit it on the floor and look down on top of it to see, does anything jump out. I had these beautiful parrot tulips in the cooler. I really wanted to use them, but I changed my mind because they will grow overnight. So wherever I put them in the arrangement, if they're going straight up today, tomorrow they may have grown another inch and are starting to curve and go a different direction. So just be sure to know your product, know what it's going to do overnight or 2 or 3 days later if it's going out to somebody's house, because you want to keep this nice clean look in your design. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you follow us on social media and join us online, in person, and on demand here at Floreology Institute.